Yo, what is going on, guys? This is Retro Joe's here. Finally managed to get this video out. Apologies for the delays. I basically just had some other stuff to do during the weekend. But to be fair, it actually worked out quite well because, as you probably all know, today is it marks the 25th anniversary of Pokemon. And I thought, what better way to do that than to show you my retro Pokemon collection. And the thing is, I've cut all these games and it still isn't really complete. But yeah, let's just get straight into it. So Pokemon was a game that was released in 1996, which was the year I was born, actually. Originally over in Japan, and Japan at the time had the original Pokemon game that was Pokemon Green. And it basically got really popular over there, and then they eventually released Pokemon Red and Blue in North America and Europe, and it completely took over the gaming industry. I'm not sure what the actual figures are for sort of how many sales were made on that game, but it basically was a revolution in video game history, and it plays an important part in the gaming history as well, because the Game Boy at the time, although it was a pretty popular console at the time, Pokemon was the game that pretty much, everyone, like, you think of Pokemon originally and everyone thinks of the Game Boy straight away. So to start off my retro Pokemon collection, we do have none other than Pokemon Green, which was released originally in Japan, and I managed to get hold of this at a place called Sawthumb's Retro Gaming, which is in York, the city of York, and they do loads of cool stuff there. It's like honestly one of the best sort of retro stores that I've ever even seen in this country, let alone I think even in the world, to be honest with you. But yeah, I managed to pick this up for I think it was about £40 at the time, and I've had a chance to play on it, and it's pretty much the same as Blue and Red, only the text is obviously going to all be in Japanese, and yeah, it's actually quite a cool piece, to be fair. It marks a big sort of moment in video game history, and I'm pretty glad to have this one in my collection, actually. So next up in my Pokemon collection, as you may gather, is none other than the original Pokemon Red and Pokemon Blue. Now, these two pretty much are a big part of my childhood. Like, the biggest memory, I never actually owned these games as a kid, because like I say, I would have been too young when I would have only just been born when these came out. But what I will say is that my best memory of these games are when my cousin Sean actually lent me his Game Boy Color when we went on a family holiday to Greece, and I was 5 years old. And Pokemon, I think he had Pokemon Blue. I think it was Pokemon Blue that he had. And I just remember playing on that, and I absolutely loved it. And that's when, because I'd sort of heard of Pokemon, but I'd never really had the chance to play it. And that's when I sort of fell in love with the franchise, playing this one. And it leaves great memories. The Kanto region is obviously going to be one of the most original, what would you say now, generations of Pokemon. And it's just really cool to have in my collection, not only because these things obviously are going to have even more value now that the 25th anniversary of Pokemon has now happened, but also because I believe that Pokemon Red, the reason why this one actually has a little bit more value is because it's got Charizard on the front, and for whatever reason, like you've seen with the Pokemon card Charizard, the holo from the original set, that obviously goes for a lot of money. A lot of people seem to collect Pokemon games or just Pokemon merchandise that just have Charizard on. It seems to be one of the more popular genres to collect. But these two, I'm really happy to have these in my collection. Really cool pieces. And yeah, let's move on to the next. So for the next piece, we are sticking with the Generation 1 theme. And we have got Pokemon Yellow, of course, which completes the Gen 1 sort of retro collection, if you like. I know there's obviously other games out there that I think were sort of kind of beta for the ones before this, but this one, again, I actually have great memories thanks to one of my cousins. This time it's my cousin George. I remember again, this is when I had a Game Boy Advance, and I'd never actually, believe it or not, at the time, I maybe had seen this game, but I never actually knew that it kind of existed in terms of what it was, where it bases it off the anime TV series, where you obviously play and your starter Pokemon is Pikachu, just like Ash in the original Kanto TV series. And I remember my cousin George letting me borrow this, and it was actually really, really cool that you actually have Pikachu following you around. It was one of the massive changes that you actually felt you had a proper connection with the Pokemon that you start with. And I just really like to have it in my collection just because I'm a massive fan of Pikachu as well. I love the art on the front of this. And yeah, just a really another cool piece to have from the Generation 1 set. And yeah, let's move on to the next one. So next up in my Pokemon collection is none other, and you may have already guessed this, Pokemon Gold and Pokemon Silver for the Game Boy Color. Now, these two are regarded as the best Pokemon games to ever exist, and to be honest with you, I can see why. Believe it or not, and I really need to do this at some point, I need to fix the internal batteries inside these in order to save the game so I can actually play through them. But it has one of the best stories, like, you know, according to what most people say. And I never actually played these as a kid. Again, I think I remember when I was on holiday in Greece, there were these kids as well that had these games, and they were playing those on their Game Boy. But I've never actually had the chance to play through Generation 2. And I have to admit, from playing Pokemon Go and catching all the Gen 2 Pokemon, I actually do like a lot of Pokemon in this generation. And what makes it really cool in these two games is that you can actually go back to the Kanto region and then do those badges as well from their gyms, and also the Johto region. So that's a really cool feature, and these two, I reckon, are going to continue to go up in value, especially if you've got a working internal battery. So I'm really glad to have these two in my collection because they're actually quite hard to find in good condition, let alone with a working battery, but I will be, I'm currently learning how to actually fix those myself. Really looking forward to having a go at that. But yep, let's go on to the next part of my collection. So next up, we have a big part in my childhood coming up. And again, a lot of you may already know what's coming up, but that is Pokemon Ruby and Pokemon Sapphire for the Game Boy Advance. These two were the first ones they released on the Game Boy Advance, and the Game Boy Advance was the first Game Boy that I officially owned as a kid. I remember my parents got me one for Christmas, shortly after our holiday to Greece actually, because they saw how much I loved it. And then a year later I did manage to get hold of Pokemon Ruby, and these games, although they're not the most popular generation, I know at the time, because it wasn't apparently as good as Johto region with Pokemon Gold and Silver, it did get a lot of hate actually, I believe. But these generations for me were like, they're just a massive part of my childhood, and I absolutely loved them. And they introduced a lot of things that you see in Pokemon today, but at the time they were brand new, like when you could battle doubles. That was a completely new feature that no one ever heard of. There was the Pokemon, I think the Pokemon daycare thing, I think might have been introduced in Generation 2. I could be wrong, but I think these games really perfected that. And the evil teams in this game as well were unbelievably good compared to a lot of the ones you see now. And yeah, I just absolutely love these two. I've played this one primarily, but I also played a bit of Sapphire through, I think I might have borrowed it off my one of my friends at the time. And the legendaries are great as well. Still to this day, some of my favourite. So I'm really happy to have these two in my collection. Mainly Ruby, because it was the very first Pokemon game that I officially owned as a kid. But yeah, moving on to the next game. So next up in my collection, guys, apologies for the changing of lights and I had to record this bit later on, but next bit in my Pokemon collection is sticking with Gen 3, and we have got Pokemon Emerald. Now, this game here at the moment is so hard to get hold of. It seems to be one of the more popular now, and I think a lot of the reason for that is probably because of the Rayquaza on the front of it. I know it's one of the most popular legendaries. But also I think because there's so much to do in this game. Like, I've just recently actually started playing through this one, and there is just so much to do in terms of the battle tower and whatever that I'm hearing about. And like, you actually have, a bit like in Generation 2, you have like where you can contact other trainers on the phone, etc. And yeah, this for me is one of the most important pieces in my collection, simply because it is so rare at the minute to get this in the box in decent condition. And once I fix the internal battery in this thing as well, the value of it will go up even more. So really cool piece. Happy to have it in my collection, and it also gives me all 3 of the Generation 3 games, which is really good. But moving on now to the final piece in my Pokemon collection. So guys, the final piece in my Pokemon collection is actually my all-time favourite Pokemon game. And that is, of course, Pokemon Platinum for the Nintendo DS. This game, like, I think I got hold of it, I think when I was maybe a bit older. I was 13, 14 maybe even a little bit older than that. And honestly, the story mode of this game just completely blew me away. Like, the idea that there's actually a Pokemon Devil, which is Giratina, the Pokemon on the front, and the storyline was just incredible. It's like, one thing I've noticed in the Pokemon games now is you don't get serious storylines like that anymore. And you know, there was just so much to do in the game. I was a massive fan of the Pokemon as well. Like, Staraptor is one of my favourite flying types. What else is there? Shinx, which evolves into Luxray, Luxio, etc. And of course, what's the Garchomp? Of course, yeah, Garchomp, the pseudo-legendary, unbelievable Pokemon. But yeah, this one for me is a really important piece, as it's literally my favourite Pokemon game, and I'm hoping that they're actually going to do a remake for these games, the Generation 4 ones. It is strongly rumoured this year that it is going to finally happen. I've been waiting for this now for about 4 years, like they did with Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. But there you have it, guys. That is my Pokemon collection there. A lot of them, like a lot of money there just in that collection on its own, and I do actually have a lot more things to show you guys in terms of what I have in my collection. But to mark the 25th anniversary of Pokemon, I thought it'd be best to get this one done and out of the way first. I hope you guys have enjoyed. If you are watching this on my YouTube channel, please like and subscribe. It means a lot, and I shall see you guys in the next video. Peace.